Hello guys, we are going to talk a crime drama film called Rebel Ridge from 2024. A lot of interesting things are waiting for you. The movie starts with Terry, a former veteran, riding his bike listening to music. At one point, he is pulled over by the police. Officer Evan and his partner, Officer Steve, handcuff Terry, claiming that they tried to stop him, but he was running away. Terry explains that he didn't hear them through his headphones, but the officers don't pay attention. They begin to search Terry and ask him personal questions about his life. Officer Evan searches Terry's backpack and finds a package inside. He asks Terry's permission to open the package, but Terry refuses. They detain Terry and call a dog handler to check the package. Evan tells them that it will take an hour for the dog team to arrive, but Terry is in a hurry, so he lets them check the package. The cops find a large amount of money inside, so they suspect that it could be money that was obtained from the trade in illegal substances. Terry says it is his personal money, which he needs to pay his cousin's bail in court. Officer Steve notes that the amount of money is almost $30,000 and asks why Terry's cousin is in jail. Terry explains that $10,000 is bail, and the rest of the money is needed to buy a car and a boat. His cousin Mike is in jail for possession of illegal substances, but he did not sell them. The police decide to let him go, but they take the money, suspecting that he did break the law. Terry explains that he got the money by selling his car and some from his business. Evan tells Terry that they will keep the money, and he can pick it up in 30 days when he has completed all the paperwork. Otherwise, he could be imprisoned for money laundering. Terry reluctantly agrees, and they let him go. The police officers go on their way, and Terry takes his bike and rides to the court. There, he meets a man named Elliot, who is a court employee. Terry asks Elliot to pay his brother's bail. Elliot refuses because Terry does not have the money. He is told that the prison is being renovated, so all the prisoners are being transferred to a state prison. Elliot decides to leave because his shift is over, but Terry is furious because his brother is in trouble. Elliot introduces Terry to his co-worker Summer, who will soon become a lawyer and can help him. Summer and Terry go to dinner, where Summer tells him that the local police are using legal loopholes to confiscate money from people, and if people can't legally get their money back, the police keep it, claiming it's for foundations. Terry says that his brother Mike has helped catch several dangerous criminals by providing information, and if he is transferred to a state prison, he could be eliminated by other inmates. Mike's transfer is scheduled for Thursday, so Summer advises Terry to find money for bail to save Mike. They part ways, and Terry calls Mr. Liu, a Chinese restaurant owner, and his partner. He asks Liu for $10,000, and Liu agrees to wire the money within a few hours. At night, Terry finds the police station where he was detained and decides to visit them the next day. He reports the robbery to Officer Jessica and describes the robbers in the same way as Officers Evan and Steve. Meanwhile, Officer Steve comes in and claims that Terry is trying to make up a crime. The head of the department, Chief Sandy, intervenes and stands up for his men and orders Terry to leave, but Terry offers to keep the money, but only to return it to him for bail. Sandy agrees. Terry wants to see his brother before he is transferred to another prison, so Sandy tells him to come back at 9 a.m. on Thursday. On Thursday, Terry arrives at the police station, but the prisoner bus has already left because Sandy has deliberately changed the schedule. Terry quickly catches up to the bus and tells his brother to ask for protection once he gets to the prison. Terry now turns to Summer for help, and she meets with him to tell him that she has found dirt on the cops and that they can expose them. She also tells him that the judge is also involved in these crimes. As for Mike's bail, Terry needs to bring the money to Elliot's desk as soon as possible. Terry goes to the police station again and confronts the chief. He threatens the chief and tells him to cooperate, but Officer Steve intervenes and the situation becomes tense. Terry disarms them both and takes them inside. He puts them in the handcuffs he took from Officer Sims and goes with her to the evidence room, where he finds the guns and money. He takes his money and leaves only $10,000, honoring the original agreement, leaving the rest for the police. He unloads Jessica's gun and tells her to pretend to handcuff him and drive him away so that the others don't shoot. She gets in the car and drives Terry to a safe place. The woman then issues a police alert about Terry's escape. Terry returns to the courthouse and brings the money to Elliot's desk. Summer goes to get the judge's signature for bail, but at this time, the police surround the court and arrest Terry. The cops take Terry to the basement for a physical, and Evan takes him to meet with Chief Sandy. During the trip, Sandy tells Terry that he made a mistake by interfering with him because he checked his military background. They stop at the hospital where Sandy gives Terry the rest of the money back and tells him to keep quiet and forget about it. Otherwise, he could be sent to prison for 30 years for assault. Sandy also tells him that Mike was attacked in prison and is being transported to the hospital. Terry is angry and depressed, so he agrees to the deal. But Sandy warns him never to return to this town, or he will be eliminated. Terry goes to Mike's room, but unfortunately Mike does not survive. Terry now asks Summer for a ride and returns to his town. They are chased by a police car, but Summer tells them that it is her friend, who is her contact in the police and helps the girl. Summer tries to explain to Terry that there have been more cases like Mike's, so it is necessary to fight police abuse, but Terry is already frustrated and ignores her. He gives Summer his emergency number and says goodbye to her. Summer goes home and wakes up in the middle of the night to find that someone has entered her house and injected her with some substances. She realizes that the police are behind it when she sees a magnet with a police car on it on her refrigerator. She calls Terry, and he quickly arrives at her house. He breaks down the door and finds her alive in the shower. Summer tells him that she is fine because the police injected her with a drug she used to take. She had a daughter but lost custody because of her history with illegal substances. She is worried that she has been pardoned to see her daughter, but if she is tested tomorrow, she could lose custody forever. Terry tells her not to worry and sends her back to work. Unexpectedly, the judge wants to meet with Summer and insists that Summer take a test for illegal substances, which indicates his cooperation with the police. Summer is scared, but agrees. She takes all the samples and cries, knowing her fate. Meanwhile, Terry is confronted by Officer Steve, who calls his partners to block the streets. Terry cooperates, but Steve shoots him for returning to the city. Terry is wounded, but he fights on. He stuns Steve with his own taser and escapes into the fields. Terry abandons his car and walks to his Chinese restaurant, where he calls Summer, asking her to bring in disposable phones. Summer arrives at the restaurant with the phones and finds Terry injured, but Mr. Liu helps him heal his wounds. Terry and Summer plan to find evidence against the police to bring them to justice. They break into the judge's house and interrogate the judge about police corruption. He admits that he has been working with Chief Sandy for a long time. Sandy's department was broke, so he started using his own money, illegally conducting searches and taking cases to court, where the accused always lost money. The judge participated in this because he also received a share of the money, and the state legalized it because part of the money went to state funding. The police would stop cars, and the searches would become brutal, just like in the case of Terry at the beginning of the movie. These searches were recorded on the police cars' dash cams and could serve as evidence against them. Terry and Summer decide to steal these recordings, which are stored in the basement of the courthouse. They break into the basement and find that the police are already ahead of them. They set fire to the evidence room to destroy the materials. However, Summer manages to put out the fire and quickly steal the memory cards. They then set the room on fire again to deflect suspicion. Terry goes out to the car and waits for Summer while she goes to pick up the rest of the evidence against her. Unfortunately, the police catch her. Terry waits for her outside and notices the police kidnapping her. He chases them to a suspicious location where they split up, leaving one officer behind. Terry drives into the police car and overpowers the officer, then handcuffs him for interrogation. Terry uses the officer's radio and contacts Sandy. Sandy offers a trade, Summer for memory cards. Terry agrees, and Sandy sets up a meeting at dawn. Sandy's men wait for Terry, but Terry does not show up. In the meantime, Sandy receives a call from Terry, while Officer Evan reports that he has probably found Terry's car. However, it turns out that Terry is not in the car, and instead the officer is there, whom Terry has tied to the car. Terry is actually at the police station, where he breaks through the back wall of Sandy's department. Officer Jessica alerts the other police officers to Terry's location, so everyone returns to the station. A greedy Sandy quickly heads for his money, but Terry loads up his weapon from the arsenal. He shoots Sandy with rubber bullets. Jessica arrives, and Terry decides to work with her, since she was the friend Summer mentioned. Terry entrusts Jessica with the memory cards and asks her to make them public. He confiscates Sandy's arsenal, but Sandy's men have already arrived outside. Terry gives Jessica a loaded weapon to back him up and begins to pour gasoline on Sandy's money. But Jessica is not a good cop and says she doesn't want to shoot Terry, so she forces him to surrender. Officer Steve stops Terry and eliminates the memory cards. Steve confesses that he stunned Summer, so now they can eliminate Terry without witnesses. Officer Evans sees the mistakes in the police's actions and comes to Terry's defense. They all point their guns at each other, but Sandy shoots Evan in the leg and takes his weapon. Terry looks at Jessica, who puts down her gun and makes a run for it with Evan. They hide behind a car, and Terry throws smoke grenades at the police. Evan instructs him to turn on the car's dash cams, and in 3 minutes the footage will go live. Terry neutralizes the police officers one by one, but does not kill them. He confronts Steve and takes revenge on him for shooting him. He gets into Steve's car, where Summer is lying, and turns on the dash cams. He drives to Evan and rescues him. They run away from the police, but Steve pursues them. He tries to get inside the car, but Summer pushes him out onto the road. Sandy and his men pursue them with Jessica. Jessica deliberately drives into Sandy's car to let Terry escape. Terry drives to the hospital, where Summer and Evan are admitted to the emergency room. Terry snatches the surveillance disc from the car and keeps it to expose Sandy's crimes once and for all.